Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode. I am Jewel Williams, your host, and you're listening to All Things Logistics. So let's get into this. We're talking about EPA's new ruling that came out. I'm sure some of you truck drivers have seen this. Many of you have been following this story because it's not new. It's been going on for a few years now. California is wanting to reduce the amount of pollution that they have within their environment. You can't blame them. Not a, who wants to be walking around with pollution? So I want to play this video for you. And this is from the recent House and the committee that spoke with Pete Buttigieg. So let's take a look.
Like to ask of you here to help us figure out maybe there's a pilot program out there that we can work through um, where we can get technical assistance to deal with some of the issues related to the freight corridor that I represent. While the Port of LA and Long Beach are extremely important, and I would like to just remind you that 40% of all containerized imports come through the Port of LA and Long Beach, and 30% of all exports go through those two same ports. The bulk
So,
of the
yeah,
freight.
right there, Norma Torres is who you're looking at. She's the representative of the California district, and she's basically got a lot of truck freight going through there. But I want to use that clip to start off this conversation, because what she's talking about here with Pete Buttigieg is that the trucking corridor that she controls has got a lot of pollutions, and that'll help you get some context as to what's going on. So the EPA is on a mission to phase out diesel freight trucks. And owner operators, fleet operators of all sizes, it's going to definitely impact your business. Your business model is going to change, or at least cost you some money to transition from the truck that you're using now. If you're definitely using an older model, I think anything 2000 is up to 2010ish, which I doubt if many of you have those. But if you do, you're going to be definitely needing to take those vehicles off the road or look at getting them converted. So I want to talk to you about a couple articles on how we got to this place. And then I want to talk to you about a couple of grant programs that I found that may be able to help you as you transition from and as they phase out this program overall. So let's jump over here and let's take a look at some of these particular articles. On this first one, EPA approves the rules phasing out diesel trucks, and that came out on the 31st. And the article addresses how it is just clogging the ports of San Francisco or Sacramento, California, and the Biden administration is supporting the fact that they want to speed this up. The original plan, from according to my notes, the original plan was to have this phased out by 2040, and they've actually moved this up, and even as of next year, 2024, the California is going to start saying if your truck is not burning or using some type of clean alternative fuel, you're gonna have some issues. And I want to draw your attention for a minute, because this did not just happen overnight. This has been building up for quite some time. So a few articles that I found on this situation, this one right here dates back to December 9th, 2021. California adopts tough standards for trucks, lawn equipment. I don't know why they had that in there, but the article basically breaks down that the state regulators on Thursday voted to crack down on heavy duty trucks weighing more than 14,000 pounds. those big semi trailers that make up just 3% of all vehicles in California, but spend so much time on the road, they account for more than half of the air pollution or all pollution from cars and trucks each year. Then this other article I came across, this one came out also in the Associated Press, and this one was supported by the American Lung Association, which spoke about how they could save 66,000 lives. Let me just switch over here. I don't know why there we go. I'm sitting here telling you and didn't even switch over. But anyway, this particular article talks about how the reports are going to, or the transition from the zero emissions will save 66,000 lives. And a lot of this data has been backed up by the American Lung Association and many reports, coming out basically supporting that it's important that we eliminate all of that. And then in December 2022, EPA tightened nitric oxide limits for new heavy trucks. Another report that came out, and this one was basically in Detroit. What I found interesting with all of these is that it didn't, all the states basically jumped on board with California, and it didn't start overnight. So I want to talk about this PDF file that I got. But before I go forward, I want to ask you if you're getting value out of this information. If you find it useful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, turn on your notification bell, or share this video with somebody that you think can benefit from what I'm talking about. And I'm not just telling you all of this just to kind of fill the information. I actually want to bring you some alternative solutions to help you as your business gets closer to that deadline where you're going to need to transition your vehicle over to cleaner air. And there are some programs out there that are going to be coming down the pipeline, or some ports are already doing these programs. And we're going to talk about that later so that you guys can get some help as you transition your businesses to this new cleaner air and so forth. So there was an article I found, and this right here shows that several states got together and sent a letter to EPA asking them to basically allow them to jump ahead and start implementing EPA rule of the net zero plan, net zero emissions. And they are, of course, the state of California. Also on here is Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Wisconsin, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the District of Columbia, and the City of New York. All of those companies got together and wrote this article. Let me see if I can increase this a little bit so that you can maybe see it a little bit better. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to do my best. Let's see. There you go. So that right there can kind of show you all the states that signed this. And this came out August 2nd, 2022. So it's not that long ago. And basically in this docket, these states got together, and I believe you scroll down that it was their attorney generals that all got together and pleaded their case as to why it was important that they go forward and allow the introduction of net zero emissions and not wait until 2027. Now, I don't know how fast they're going to go, because a lot of this is going to depend on the manufacturers. It's going to depend on what vehicles are available in the area. There's a lot of moving parts that are going to impact whether or not this particular plan kicks off and how fast it kicks off. So, going back to the meeting that was today, I want to share with you the rest of the video that Representative Norma Torres spoke about.
Corridor. We have one international airport where UPS has its second largest hub. We have three smaller executive airports, for lack of a better word. And we have three major freeways where trucks, compete and dominate on most days. I would like to ask of you here to help us figure out, maybe there's a pilot program out there that we can work through where we can get technical assistance to deal with some of the issues related to the freight corridor that I represent. While the Port of LA and Long Beach are extremely important, and I would like to just remind you that 40% of all containerized imports come through the Port of LA and Long Beach, and 30% of all exports go through those two same ports. We have experienced the worst air pollution. We continue to experience that even through the COVID period, where our commuters were grounded, working from home. We still had the worst air pollution in California was centered in my district. We had 177 ozone days. So we really need help to figure out how do we're not looking to shut down any port. We're not looking to shut down commerce. We are looking for assistance and some relief.
So she did a very good plea to the Pete Buttigieg, who is in charge of the Department of Transportation, and this was their committee meeting where they were basically asking him to ensure that the funding is available for them as they go through this transition to go from highly polluted areas to the net zero areas. And so as I was looking for solutions to identify what can I help you do, or at least make you aware of, so that you truck drivers, small business owners, whether you are managing one truck or you're managing a full fleet, you're probably going to want to start planning on how you're going to transition and get yourself ready, doing your research and looking into your options. So what I found was an article, and it talks about the alternative fuels that are coming about for Class 8 vehicles. And they talk about that the Class 8 vehicles are beginning to transition to alternative fuel options, including electrification, CNG, which is compressed natural gas, RNG, which is renewable natural gas, and hydrogen fuel cells. Now, many companies, such as your Mack trucks, your Freightliners, Cummins engines, I believe that they're going to be jumping on board with this. Now, the reason why I say I believe is because I could not find anyone that specifically stated they were making the transition or they were building the engines. It could be for, protection of so forth. But as I go forward and paying attention to a lot of these companies that are publicly traded, I'll be listening for the information so I can share that with you guys as I monitor their stocks. So, as I said, there's programs out there right now that I was able to find that some of the ports are doing because they've gotten some funding. And what they're doing is, if you're draying from the port to the rail, then this will benefit you. Now, a lot of companies have decided, and I reported on this at the JB Hunt, and I'll put this up right here, the JB Hunt video that I did that talks about how JB Hunt is putting a lot of their highway freight onto the rail for the purpose of cutting down emissions. The many companies, many transportation logistics companies who own equipment have taken the pledge to reduce carbon in the environment. And so they've come up with plans to do that. And a lot of them are using rail. And I believe that's probably why the rail is having such a hard time right now. There's been a lot of derailments, but we'll get into that another day. So let's get into this EPA plan. So EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency, and they are on this plan accelerating a clean transportation future where they're going to cut down emissions. They want net zero carbon, the whole 9 yards. So they came out with a grant called DERA grants awarded to port projects. This was going on between 2008 and 2020. Now, I went to the Savannah Port Logistics Summit a couple months ago, and they spoke about this grant. And so if you live in Georgia or if you're draying from Georgia, there's some monies available to get your truck transitioned from what it is now to a cleaner burning truck. But there's some things you got to meet. They're just not giving it to everybody, but there are some things you will have to meet. So one of the things that they talked about is to meet this grant opportunity, you have to visit the port 100 or more times. And so with that visit, you would qualify into the program that would allow you to become eligible to get your truck serviced so that it can transition. I'm going to increase this a little bit so you guys can see this. So what they're saying is the drayage truck fleets are frequently identified source of diesel emissions in and out of and around ports. Drayage trucks are often older trucks that are no longer used for long hauls. They typically produce substantially more diesel emissions. The GPA received a Diesel Emissions Reduction Act grant in 2013 to replace 30 older drayage trucks with 2011 or newer trucks. To be eligible for replacement, the truck must have visited the terminal at least 150 times a year. So, like I said, if you're draying from the port, check with the port that you're draying with and ask them about these grants. Ask them how you can qualify for these grants. If you're not draying from the port and you are an owner-operator, start looking around for these types of grants or keeping your eyes open from these types of grants. Great plug right now for me to let you know that you can hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that you will be alerted when I get new videos, because I'm going to be bringing this type of information to you so that you can be prepared and prepare your business for these changes. So I want to just bring all this stuff out so that you guys can understand what's happening, how you can plan your business, how to think forward on your business. And if you want to leave a comment, I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've got a grant like this already, maybe you've already transitioned, I would love to get your feedback. I'd even bring you on the show so we can talk about how that's helped your business improve in emissions, to see if you've gotten any value and benefits from this transition. If you're in a pilot program, I'd love to hear from you as well. If you've gotten success and you're ready as we move into this net zero environment. It is happening, folks. Don't think it's going to just die away. They're determined to get our planet to where we're not destroying it, and we can all breathe and live better, healthier lives. So I hope this information was helpful to you, and I will catch you on the next video. Have an awesome day.